into maybe what the motivation was. We're not sure at this point what the triggering event was that happened yesterday. We are conducting several search warrants at this time, looking for additional information. We have reviewed several videos, both internally because it was a sporting event. So Live Bond was streaming that event for the families. We have also witnessed and we've combed through videos of parents that were videoing their individual children playing the game, which of that they love. So we have been kind of streaming through that to make sure that we're getting a clear picture of what happened. We ask that any video that may not have been forwarded to us is forwarded to the police department. We also ask that information that's coming out only come out through, obviously, the Pawtucket Police Department in the city of Pawtucket. We will be the ones that are pushing out the facts to you. So if you have questions, again, we ask that you reach out to us specifically and not to rely on social media posts. Those posts that are be putting out there are not necessarily accurate, and they're trying to spin a story in a different way. So we ask that you rely on the information that we're giving you. What I also can tell you is, again, we worked with several community events. We've worked with our local partners, our state partners, our federal partners. There was a lot of outside help that showed up on the scene. I can tell you right now, we have individuals working in another state with the FBI trying to assist Pawtucket in search warrants that we have ongoing right now. As for any further updates, as we get additional information, as things come about, if we get any more videos or things that we can comb over, we were going to push out that information just like we did yesterday. As we get more information, we would like to share it with you. And then that way, you know, you have the story as it's unfolding. Again, what I can say is the suspect did succumb to their injuries yesterday. Our hearts go out to the families that were affected. Obviously, the children that were on the ice. This was supposed to be a joyous event for them. It was their senior night at a hockey game, a normal high school game that should have gone on without any type of violence, whether it be inside the rink or outside the rink. So again, we ask that you respect the privacy of those families and just give them some time to grieve. This was a tragic incident that obviously resulted in a domestic violence incident that, you know, is unfathomable that had that happen in our city. So again, we ask that you respect some of the family members. And again, this was one large family that was affected. I'm going to turn it over to the governor, and then at the end, if you have some questions, we'll let you ask them at that point. Governor?
Thank you, Chief. It's another sad day in Rhode Island. Here in Pawtucket, just imagine we all have families. To have virtually a complete family shot and several killed, I just can't imagine what those families are going through and the people who are close to them. So our thoughts are with them, and also our thoughts are with the city of Pawtucket, Mayor Grebian and the Chief. Thank you and your whole team for the response that you've had. And our role is to continue to provide resources as people recover wherever they need them. So here in Pawtucket, as always, Mayor, I stand here with Pawtucket and make sure that we reaffirm that commitment here, but also throughout the state of Rhode Island. This is an impact that's going to have a ripple effect throughout the state on many levels, whether it's just in families and friends, or it's in the communities that are represented in that rink, whether it's in the interscholastic sports territory, or whether it's in the schools that have been impacted. This is an event where we need to catch our breath, but also we need to respond, and we will. Too many Rhode Islanders know what it feels like to lose a loved one, or a neighbor, or a friend to gun violence. And too many have experienced the tragedy of domestic violence. And we've made efforts in that area. We're going to double down in that area. That's a really important thing that we are going to move forward on to make sure that this domestic violence issue is one that we focus on as a state. Many members of our community are struggling right now. And I want them to know that our state is here to support each and every one of them. Director Mark Pappas is here today. I've instructed Mark to coordinate all the statewide efforts with all the different providers, all the different departments, whether it's at RIDE or whether it's in our health department. Mark will continue to organize that and make sure that we're deploying all those assets in a way that families and students and everyone that's impacted by this event will receive the help that they need. Today, we put forward a dedicated statewide virtual support hub that you'll have that information on for anyone who needs any help, whether it's mental health services, domestic violence, resources, guidance on how to talk with the students or children in all the communities. Yesterday, I spoke to each and every municipal leader that had representation at the rink, whether it's in North Smithfield with Scott, or whether it's in East Providence, Coventry, Johnston with Mayor Policina. Mayor Rivera talked to her. First responders came in from Central Falls, as the mayor said. This is a ripple effect that's going to impact families all around the state of Rhode Island, North Providence included in particular. So we're going to stand with the people in the state, and we're going to provide the resources in a difficult time, but that's our job, is to make sure that we're doing that, and we will. People who need help, they can go to governor.ri.gov/support hub. That's governor.ri.gov/support hub. They can see all the resources that will be available to them, and we'll continue to be on the ground, making sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that we respond in a compassionate and thoughtful way. With that, I'll let Commissioner Infante Green come up and speak about the issues that are impacting the LEAs, all the education, all the students in the state.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Mayor, for all the work. My heart is with the family and students who were impacted directly or indirectly by the shooting at the arena yesterday. Rhode Island is such a small state that the impact of this violence is being felt by all of us, especially students across our state. School and sporting events should be a safe place, a place of joy, a place of unity. Because we're so small, we know someone that was impacted by this tragedy, either directly through that person or somebody that was a spectator, but this has impacted our entire state. The unity that we saw when spectators came to support is the unity that we have in Rhode Island, especially at our sporting events. We are one. So we want to thank them, and we want to continue to move as a community. So I say to the students and the families that are listening, we are here. We're here to support you. You're not alone. Just because schools are closed this week, we are working, all of government is working to support you. There's a community of people here for you. If you need help during this hard time, and any of you that have seen the video, just by watching what happened raises our anxiety. Ask for help. If you need immediate help, please contact 988, the Suicide and Crisis Line. You don't have to wait to go back to school. The Rhode Island Department of Education will have resources on the website. We will also be linking to the governor's website, but there will be supports on how to talk to your students, how to have conversations from students to students, what the teachers can do in preparation for school to return and for the schools that are currently open this week. There will also be other opportunities throughout the state to come together to have conversations. This is our second event in Rhode Island, and we have to make sure that our community feels the state coming together to wrap around services and support, and that's what we're here to do. Estudiantes y familias, hoy estamos hablando con ustedes. No están solos. Quiero que sepan que nosotros tenemos recursos. La oficina del gobernador tiene una página donde van a ver todos los recursos que están disponibles para ustedes. El Departamento de Educación tiene recursos de cómo hablar con sus niños, cómo hablar ustedes entre comunidades. Y por favor, si ustedes están sintiendo dificultad, llamen al 988. Prevención y suicidio y crisis. Ese es el número que ustedes tienen disponible. No tienen que esperar que las escuelas abran otra vez. Es muy importante que ustedes tengan los servicios necesarios. In addition to all the local resources that will be available on the website, RIDE has also collaborated with our partners at Hazel Health to provide virtual healthcare services to all students in Rhode Island. All Hazel visits are online and students can connect from wherever they are, and they're available in 25 languages. Estamos aquí con esta tragedia. Nosotros tenemos una colaboración con los servicios de Hazel Health para ofrecerles servicios médicos virtual a todos los estudiantes de Rhode Island. Donde quiera que estén, pueden adquirir estos recursos y en cualquier lugar. Visit hazel.co to get started. Visiten a hazel.co para empezar. RIDE will be collaborating with school districts, offering supports as well as resources. We will be updating our website with additional resources for students, families, and the community at large. I want to thank all of you for the support. We have gotten an enormous amount of outpouring. I'd also like to thank our other colleagues from other states that have also given us national resources. Our schools are going to need that. Our superintendents, our principals, our teachers are going to need this support. With that, I'd like to turn to the superintendent of schools here in Pawtucket, Randy Buck, who will continue the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, all. Like so many across our city, the Pawtucket School Department is deeply heartbroken by this tragic act of violence that has shaken our entire community here in Pawtucket. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, their families, and particularly those who are grieving this evening. This tragedy, as you know, also has touched the Pawtucket school community as members of our own staff were personally impacted. We're surrounding them with care, compassion, and the full support of our district. We're coordinating a comprehensive response for both staff and students, including access to social workers, mental health professionals, and employee assistance services this week and when students return from the break next week. In moments like these, Pawtucket comes together. We stand united in compassion, in healing, and in a shared commitment to care for one another. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to the chief for any questions.
We just asked you, you said that the suspect's name was Robert Dorgan. The last thing you said, his name is Roberta Esposito. So what is his legal name? And do you know if he came to the arena yesterday? Obviously, he was armed. So was he coming there to kill, or was he coming there to just watch the game as something?
So that was multi-part. So let me answer the first one. So legally, the name is Robert Dorgan. That's what we have on identification. We've also learned that the suspect does use the name Roberta Dorgan, and also Esposito. Again, we don't have a motive as to why the shooting happened yesterday. We can tell you that he did have 2 firearms on him. He was seen entering the building. He was seen leaving the building and then re-entering. We're not sure if he had them on him in the initial entry or not when the second time he went in. We're not sure about that.
Chief, was there a confrontation between the shooter and the family before the shot?
There was not.
Was there any conversation between them beforehand?
So
Whether that was in person or through messaging before the game? Was there any?
So what I can say about any conversations with the family, again, is that the family there that was sitting on the bleachers was affected. Some are still in critical care, so we're still gathering that information. From the video, it doesn't appear that there was any conversation or confrontation between the family before the incident happened. At this time, we have no indication that the suspect was living in Rhode Island. So the firearms were purchased legally, and we are investigating that with ATF, and we will release that when we have that information.
Does
But
the
at this
suspect-
point, could you let me finish the answer, and then you can ask the next question? As soon as we get that information, we will release it. So as for sporting events, anything like that, if Lynch Arena felt like there was a need for it, they would have reached out. There was no indication that there was any type of violence that was going to happen at the event. Like I said, it was a high school hockey game for a co-op team, actually 2 co-op teams. So multiple jurisdictions were affected. There was no indication that there was going to be violence. This individual had gone to many hockey games in the past. There was no past experiences with violence at any of those hockey games. So there was no need for police presence at that time. Not at this time, no.
So out of respect for the family, I'm not going to confirm that. But again, like I shared before, it has impacted our staff members. So I don't want to share that information at this present time. But thank you for the question.
For the chief, we've seen reports that the suspect had a license to carry at some point in Maine. Did he have a license to carry in Rhode Island? And what were the types of firearms that he had on him?
So what I can tell you for the 2 firearms we recovered a Glock 10 millimeter, and we also recovered a SIG 226.
Those are handguns?
Yes, that's correct. So we have looked into social media postings. There were tens of thousands of postings. So it is going to take us hours to comb through those postings and see if there's anything that would have gave any insight into the incident that happened yesterday. At first glance, we don't see that, but again, there were several thousand postings that we're going to have to comb through. So that's why we've reached out. Anybody that sees anything on social media to obviously refer it to us. But again, there was tens of thousands of postings.
Chief, have you seen any links to any type of exchange groups?
Link with Robert? Yeah. Not at this time.
Did he have a license to carry here in Rhode Island?
So again, we are confirming with ATF. He did have a license to carry out of Florida. So we are working to see if they had a license to carry anywhere else. So, I mean, that's a question, obviously, for those individual communities. What I can tell you is with the co-op, there were several communities that were affected. Obviously, the incident happened here in Pawtucket. With Blackstone Valley, though, it was North Smithfield, it was North Providence, we had PCD, we had St. Raphael's, and then obviously we had Coventry, Johnston. So there were at least 6 communities that were affected, 7 communities, including Pawtucket. So there were, 6 communities, sorry, that were involved. And obviously, the resources we have, we're working with the Attorney General's office very closely. We also worked with RIPTA last night, who assisted us. Also, we've also been in contact with our other partners locally and state partners and our federal partners. And one thing that I can say is when a tragedy happens somewhere in Rhode Island, everybody responds. Everybody's been reaching out and trying to offer whatever type of assistance they can. We're in constant contact with the Attorney General's office. They're offering us that assistance when needed. And also what I can say is that during an event like that, it's very important that we come together. It's important that we respect these families and that we offer them the services that they so need. Anybody that was affected yesterday, we do have services set up at 175 Main Street. They can respond to 175 Main Street and there are services there, or they can be referred if they need other services. But we are offering services right in Pawtucket at 175 Main Street for those families that were affected on the site yesterday.
Did the family give any indication of how they identified themselves? Was there some sort of transgender process happening?
So that really is kind of irrelevant to our investigation at this point. What I can tell you is the identification was in the name of Robert. And then we also know that the suspect went by the name Roberta. It appeared that the suspect was in female clothes yesterday. But again, that's nothing that had swayed the investigation one way or another. We're just trying to kind of factually put the pieces together and let that lead us on to obviously why this occurred yesterday. Everybody's looking for answers. The police department obviously is looking for answers too. We want to know why it happened, especially in our community. So that's what we're trying to do, trying to put together that timeline and answer those questions. So we do not have medical records at this time. That's obviously an avenue that we'll pursue. But again, it has only been 24 hours. So these are questions that we're trying to answer. And again, we're working with a family that has suffered such a great tragedy. We're trying to, at the same time, respect some of their privacy and speak to them when it's appropriate too, right? Because this is one family that's been greatly affected. So we're trying to speak to them. So it was very targeted. Like I said, and you saw from some of the videos that were put out there, he did approach the family individually. and he fired upon the family.
As far as the investigation, what else is coming at this point?
The investigation is still pending.
It's still pending.
Yes.
Now,
So
is there anything specific you can say?
we were going to take the leads as they come, and we will follow through with them. Like I said, there's thousands of hours of social media that we have to comb through and other resources that we have to look at. And obviously, we're talking to people. We talked to hundreds of people yesterday, right? Everybody that was in the rink, we used RIPTA buses to kind of reunite them with their families, because obviously when the shooting happened, people were either exiting through both means of egress at the building. There are multiple doors, so everybody was kind of scattering. We try to reunify them with their families and then bring them to the station. And then we spoke to them individually. We had services on scene yesterday to try to help them through that. Again, we weren't trying to re-traumatize them last night. We were just trying to get the facts, the story. So again, at some point, we're probably going to need to talk to them again. We talked to the people that intervened and assisted with succumbing the suspect. So again, those are people that we're going to follow up with.
Is there any plans to release any official video that was taken or live streamed throughout the?
So the police department would not be releasing video of the incident, the live stream that was up live stream through Lynch Arena through Live Barn. And again, unfortunately, that was a normal school event that they were live streaming it so that people could enjoy watching their kids play hockey, right? That was the point of it. It was not so that we could kind of put out this tragedy all over social media, right? So I ask that you respect the families that have to relive this. Every time somebody reposts that, these families are being re-traumatized. So I ask that you not do that. But again, the reason for the live stream was that families could actually enjoy their kids playing hockey. So in Pawtucket, he is not known to police. There were some contacts throughout the state, but nothing that would indicate any type of violence.
He was certainly traveling throughout the country. Are there any indications, any law enforcement hits in Maine and Florida and other places where he was?
Not that we had that would indicate any type of violence. We are still kind of working with our other partners throughout different states to see what information we can, because like you said, he did travel quite some distance, whether it be to, other states. So we are trying to gather all that information. But again, it has only been 24 hours. So we were focusing on Rhode Island to see what kind of information we hit here. And like I said, we are out with our FBI partners right now doing search warrants outside of the state.
Can you describe what you saw in the live stream? In the live stream, did the Good Samaritan tackle Dorgan?
So I can tell you that the Good Samaritan stepped in and they were able to overcome the suspect. And at that time, that's when he inflicted the self-inflicted gunshot wound. Not that we have found at this point.
Can you tell us anything about his movements prior to the shooting yesterday? Transiting to Rhode Island yesterday or present in Rhode Island in the hours before?
So what I can tell you is that we are establishing a timeline of what led up to the incident. What I can tell you is that we do have the individual at the premises for quite some time before the event, which wasn't unusual. Again, like I said, the person had traveled to watch the son play hockey multiple times, so that wasn't unusual. Again, we said we saw him enter the building, exit, and then re-enter. So we're trying to put that timeline together. But again, it wasn't unusual for the person to respond and watch them play hockey. So that is what we are trying to confirm at this time, but not a Rhode Island resident.
Chief, reports from there was an incident with some family members. Has there been, as far as you know, any contact or any issues with family or anybody else since then?
I didn't say that. I'm sorry. I don't know where you got that from.
Well, I guess there are court records that he had some run-ins with family members and accused of assaulting him, including the father-in-law.
Not here in Pawtucket.
But anything since then?
Not here in Pawtucket. So the incidents that I think you're referring to was he was a victim in another community, but nothing that I would say, again, would make us question whether or not he had any violent tendencies. So the report you're speaking to is, again, he was a victim.
Aside from the investigation, a lot of questions parents have is what kind of conversations are being had for future games. Games will be going on throughout the year. So is there a plan? Is that something different communities are thinking of right now, or in Pawtucket even?
So in Pawtucket, we have a very strong community policing unit. Our community policing unit works very closely with the superintendent's office. We are in constant contact with them. We have individual SROs in our middle schools and in our high schools. We have our CPU offices that attend events. They attended on their own time. They participate in them. Some of them have even volunteered coached in the past. So we are very actively involved in our events and in our youth events within the community here in Pawtucket. And again, the superintendent can attest to that. We have a very good working relationship with the superintendent, and we have a very large community policing unit that is very integrated within the schools. That'll be a conversation, yes.
Can you just talk a minute, this is the second mass shooting in Rhode Island in 2 months, and that must be horrible to get that phone call as the police chief. Your job is to serve and protect. Can you just take a second and tell us how you're doing and what this is like for you, taking the game face off of the investigation, just as a person, as a human being? People are reeling here.
So as a parent, obviously that hits very close to home. I have children that have participated in youth sports from a very young age. I've watched live stream. I've watched their sporting events, obviously during COVID for that period of time. So that does hit very close to home. As a police chief and a member of law enforcement, I think it's something that we respond to because it's what we're meant to do. It's part of our job. I think we kind of try to separate the two. We go in factually. We try to come to the bottom of what it is that happened. We try to put that information out. We try to bring justice to those families and some solace and some comfort to those families, right? So we're going to be in constant contact. Our detectives are here today as part of the interview, and obviously they're in constant contact with those families. It's kind of very hard to separate the two. It's kind of a job that I've been doing for almost 28 years. So I think at this point, you know, any phone call like this is horrific, and I don't want to receive it, and I hope I never receive another one. But I think we're trained to respond to calls of this nature. I know some of you asked yesterday, we had a training going on for an active shooter that was offsite as just part of our normal training to make sure the men and women of the police department know how to respond if we do have a tragedy. So those individuals that were there, they were on a training. When they heard the calls for service, they responded. I mean, that's what we do. If someone calls for help, we go.
Can you take 2 more questions? Chief, do you think, did Dorgan say anything? I know there was no confrontation, but did they say anything while they were?
So it's nothing on the video would indicate that there was any conversations. Again, the victims are in critical care, so it's hard to say. So any conversations will obviously follow up with them when they're able to speak to us. But as far as we know, there was not a conversation nor a confrontation between the family and Dorgan right before the incident.
Do you think it was planned?
Again, we're trying to establish motive. I don't know.
Thank you, Chief.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Gonzalez. Gonzalez. Thank you, everybody.